Right, welcome back everybody to another Real Talk video. I pray you are doing well and still having a wonderful, blessed day as we thank the Most High for so much. This is a video response back to you too much 85. You know who you are. Powerful email. I don't think I've ever done a video about ADHD. I know I've done some about bipolar and schizophrenia, synthetic drugs, so on and so on. But let me say this off top. I know that it's not going to be a lot of parents that agree with this video. My intentions is not, what I'm about to say in this video is not to make you feel bad, not to call your child slow and none of this stuff. Just feel my heart in this video because I know that this is a very, very touchy, sensitive subject for a lot of people. But I'm not even going to expect 10 parents to agree with me with this. Now, this ADHD thing, as I always say, teach Holy Spirit. What's my take on this? Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. If you just think about the name alone, it should make you say, hyper. Now, back in the day, it was ADD. But like I always teach y'all, this world system is going to always keep coming up with new names, different names, to keep you thinking that, okay, it's something else again, it's something else again. But I'm going to state to you facts from studying. And this system has always been about making money. For those of you that's been following me for a long time, you always hear me say the penitentiary is business. War is business. Religion is business. Church is business. Synthetic drug is business. College is business. So on and so on. It's always about money. And I'm going to explain that later about why I say ADHD is all about making money also. I'm going to explain it later on. But like I said, first, it was just ADD back in 1980 to the 80 babies. But 7 years later, which would be 1987, they changed the name to ADHD. They had to add in hyper. ADD wasn't enough. Somebody catch that later. Now the question is, why did they add in hyper? Now some might say, well, I think it's two different things, JT. I hear you, but there's a difference between ADD and ADHD. Okay. If you believe that, I hear you. But it's each to their own. But they added in the word hyper. And notice it says activity. Now, there are so many parents that are so busy at work, busy, that they really don't have time to spend with their child like they need to. How is it somebody else can see something in your child but you don't? It reminds me, Brother Titus Taylor, of an episode of Good Times when that young man was on there. He couldn't hear that good. And Florida kept yelling at him not to get on the elevator. But his own mama never recognized that he couldn't hear good because she was so busy yelling at him all the time. She yelled at him so much. Y'all know that episode for the people that used to look at Good Times. She was used to yelling at him. Never really just seeing maybe he do need to get his hearing checked. That's what a lot of parents do. But it's so much money that have been made behind ADHD, y'all. It will blow your mind if you really just look into it. And the sad thing is, they want to diagnose your child with that. And then here come the problem that I have. They want to put you on this medication. Okay. Well, JT, what's the problem with that? Have you ever Googled and checked what's the side effects for the medicine that they give you for this ADHD? Look it up. It's bad, y'all. It's even to the point where you can't have children. diabetes. Just look it up. So many things that's behind these bad side effects, but that's what they're gonna put in them. Why? Because it can't heal them. It just try to keep them in some form of control, and then next thing you know, they're back to acting the same way again. And most parents gonna accept that. Well, they say my child would had ADHD. What did the Most High say about your child? Mm, mm. I remember this one lady. She was on them meds when she was young, and she was an '80s baby, born in 1981. And she said all her life they told her she was ADHD. She was this. She was that. And she found out it wasn't even nothing really wrong with her. She just didn't even believe in herself. She had low self-esteem. She missed her daddy growing up. He wasn't around. She had a lot of things going on, and it caused her not to focus on life. Me and my wife Dee was just talking about this. Now they got all kind of pills out. You can take this. You ain't thinking right. We got something for that. Renewing the mind is so important. Very important. Now, first of all, single moms that got boys, my heart really goes out to you. I hear so many single mothers speak this on the boy. That boy just won't sit there. He too hyper. He always running and jumping and shaking and grabbing stuff and throwing this up against the wall and this and that. First of all, boys are very hyper anyway. That's why you can't raise that boy like you raising that girl. Big difference. Big difference. Sad thing is most of the men just ain't around, especially in our race. But first of all, these boys are very hyper anyway. Testosterone, if you think about it. Women are not like that. But you got to be careful what you speaking on your own child. Teach Holy Spirit. Well, I noticed he always rocking back and forth and this and that. Let me tell you something. I used to bang my head on the pillow. My mom she would testify to this in the heartbeat and my daddy. I just couldn't go to sleep without banging my head. You know, I would never sit still at night. I finally grew out of that. And the reason why I did it because I would always hear music in my head. A lot of my teachers in school never understood me. I would always be shaking and beating on stuff. Did JT have ADHD? No. You have to understand what you speak into your child. You better be careful. And you not only you speaking it, but then you let them doctors and them diagnose them well. You know, he is hyper, she is hyper. You know, what's going on at home? You know, what are you feeding them? That's another thing. That's a whole other video. What's in the food? I can say so much on this. But think about this. These boys supposed to be hyper. See, if you look at it, 9 times out of 10, you've been taught to sit down so much, especially in church, especially in school. Sit, 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 sit. That's why I love to see kids run around and have fun, run around in the backyard, you know. But they sit in school all day. We all had to do it. And you being brainwashed in school by what they want to teach you, what they want you to know, they way, they system. Look at what's being fed in their mind. Now I don't know about y'all, but when I was in school, a whole lot of this stuff was boring. I hated geometry. I hated algebra 1. I didn't care nothing for algebra 2. I didn't care nothing for math. But my strongest was music. That's what always got my attention. I used to fail my reading on purpose just because the simple fact I didn't want to read they stuff. It wasn't the fact that I couldn't read and I was slow. I was just bored with what they had. Did I have ADHD? No, I don't even know what that is and where it was, where it came from. We know where it come from. Let me say that right. But I want to say this to the single moms. Just because a boy is hyper, don't mean he got this ADHD, like they say. Now, let me tell you, let me get to the heart of this video now, because I'm finna get all the way real with y'all. The real reason you see this ADHD, like they want to call it, is because there is no discipline. I'm going to say it again. You ain't got to agree with me. There, a lot of times, is no discipline. With JT, I'm a single mom, and I whoop that boy. It's a big difference when a mother is trying to discipline a boy versus that daddy. There is no discipline. Now, let me rephrase that, because you, as a female, as a mother, you may be doing the best you can, but the reaction from you versus the daddy, or it could be the grandpa, some strong male figure, you get a different reaction. That's why I see a lot of black single mothers, they can't handle them boys. They single moms, and them boys be running over them because they just when the Most High showed us His divine order, it never was designed for you to raise a boy or a girl by yourself. Even these young girls, they look for the dad. That's why the Bible say, fathers, don't provoke your child to anger. The Bible say, fathers, raise your children. It's scripture. Don't get mad, ladies. The Bible say, fathers, raise your children. You help also. But I carried that boy. I know you did. You did all that carrying, all that crying, all that gaining weight, all that swelling up. You did your time in, but the Bible tells you carry them, but fathers raise them. Can't get mad at the book. Teach Holy Spirit. You raise them together. But it's just something about the Father's discipline. Just like when the Most High, our Heavenly Father, discipline us. It's tough. But when there is lack of discipline, and you let your child get away with any and everything, he runs over you, why are you expecting to see a different action in them? Different results, I mean. I'm just telling Didi, I think about my baby boy, Baby J. Baby J is very hyper. Y'all see it all the time on some of the videos. Baby J is moving. Baby J is just, Baby J can be out of control because he's very hyper. And if I'm not around, Baby J gonna try whoever else he can get over on. I was just telling Didi, she was just laughing. I said, ain't it amazing? He hyper. Some doctor may say, I think your son, he got ADHD. He be hyped up, talking, moving, acting bad. But soon as I walk in the door or he see that belt, I'll let go out the door. Why? Because of the discipline that I put on my children. You are your child's very first teacher. While you sitting up here saying, letting this teacher say he too slow or she too slow, you are your child's first teacher. They're going to see and mimic everything you do. But I just had to laugh. I said, all I got to do is say that look or just say belt. He straightened up so quick. I don't want the belt. I don't want the belt. Why? Because he knows he ain't slow. He ain't slow at all. Very smart. You watch your child day to day, you'll see something different every day. You'll see something in them. You'll see how they change. But your discipline have to be on point. That's why these young boys, especially girls do too, but these young boys, they really need their father. There's a love off inside these young men that longs for their father, because that father teaches him how to be a man. Just for the young girl, that young girl is going to look to her daddy to see what kind of man should she marry later on. She's going to look for those same, morals, those same values that her. Well, my daddy was a hard worker. My daddy provided. My daddy didn't play. My daddy was. That's the type of man she's going to look for. a provider, an encourager, a great man with great standards. But when that man is not in the home, I'll teach Holy Spirit, what do that young girl have to look forward to? What do that little boy have to look forward to? That's why nowadays the boys are so feminine. And you look at the older people who is showing you that it's okay to be gay, it's okay to be transgender. These young people are looking up to this like, and they thinking that it's normal and okay. That boy, there's nothing wrong when he's hyper. That girl may not be as hyper as that boy. But once again, it plays a big part of your discipline. That's what's wrong. See, I remember the old generation. Ain't nothing wrong with that boy. Ain't nothing wrong with that boy. And that boy just, he needs some discipline. He needs some act right. Let me keep him for a week. That's what the older people say. Because you got strong parents, then you got weak parents. You got parents that lay down the rules and stick to it, but then you got parents that's trying to be their kid's friend. And the child knows how to play on each parent. Or I could say they know who to get away with certain people. They know who to try and who not to try and who they wouldn't even think about trying because they know that they can't get away with it. Things have changed now. But once again, if the father's not home, that makes it very hard on the single mother. Now, let me tell you why I really want to get down to this next part. Technology. But JT, they just don't comprehend too much technology. If you look at the average child, look at what they spend all their time doing. The notepads, the iPads, the video games. You telling me this boy got ADHD? He can't remember his ABCs or he can't count, but he can get on that video game and master it. Because that's what he like doing. That's what he's interested in. You telling me your baby girl, she can't understand in school, she can't memorize this and memorize that, but she can do every latest dance that come out and teach others. She can quote every lyric on Beyonce's song. She can quote every song that Nicki Minaj put out. She know how to do the dance step by step. Why is that? What's being fed in the mind? You telling me your baby girl can't understand that passage, but she can understand when she look at the reality shows, all of that. Somebody catch where I'm going with this. It's what you feed in the brain. I remember this brother I went to school with, don't know where he at, haven't seen him in years. Hated school. Teachers called him slow. They hated when he came to school. Cause they asked him, why you even come to school? You don't never bring your books, you don't never make good grades, you don't never study. He said, I come to school because my mama make me come to school. And he wasn't slow. And he could draw. Brother P.B. Jones. When I say this boy, he remind me of you. He can draw. You give him a pencil. That's the only thing he came to class with was a pencil and a few sheets of computer paper. And while the teacher would teach, he would just draw. I remember this picture he drew of Tupac. I'll never forget. I remember this picture he drew of this gangster that he was crazy about. I've never seen, I saw your drawings, PP drawing. I never seen nobody draw that cold like that. Just straight raw with a pencil. See, what these teachers have to understand is if a child is not interested in certain things, they're not going to put forth the effort. But that don't mean they ADHD. They just didn't want to be a part of that subject. Like I told y'all, I hated reading. I hated reading what they had us reading. I hated that math. In my senior year in high school, I was in a class called Math and Money. I was the only senior in my class with a bunch of freshmen who laughed at me. The good thing about me, my sense of humor and knowing how to score, that's what brought me through. The teacher of the Math and Money class didn't care nothing for us. And I had so many questions. Every question that I asked him, he would not answer. He hated being a teacher, but he did it for the money. He told us that. Now, I said all that to say this. Now I'm getting down to my closing. Most people, not even a lot of parents, understand it's a business. See, we was coming up, you would hear the term special ed or remedial or he retarded, she retarded, you slow, you stupid. They make so much money off these kids, not just because of the medicine, but the schools, the teachers. Brother Ray Bailey, do you know the extra money that a lot of these teachers have made behind this? As I'm closing, there was this one teacher. She passed away. As a matter of fact, she quit teaching because she didn't like what she saw. She disagreed with it. And she said, I can no longer be a part of this. But before she died, she told us the truth. She said a lot of these kids that they diagnosing with, calling them ADHD, they ain't even slow. They wasn't even slow at all. Kind of like what a lot of these doctors doing when a lot of people was already sick. I don't know how true this is, but they saying that if you just rule it out that the coronavirus did it, you get X and X and X amount of $1,000 on top of your salary you already got. Something to think about. I don't know how true it is. But the same thing with these kids. This lady said this. She said, think about this. Brother Ray Bailey, I'm just using your name for an example. Ray Bailey, if I told you, you slow, your reading comprehension skills is just, you ain't like the other students. Only your reading, your math is on point, everything else is on point. Well, why would I have you in all these other classes all day if all was wrong with you was your reading? You ever thought about that? If you just slow in math, then why you got me in the special class all day? All day and all day. See, we don't even think about stuff like this. He good with everything else. But you stick him in there with everybody else that you say have ADHD or special ed. We have to start asking ourselves these questions. I remember how they would keep them all day, and then some would get paid for extra time. It's your behavior, your upbringing. Most of the teachers, now don't get me wrong, there are some male teachers, but most of the teachers are female teachers. And I'm going to be real when I say this. There's a big difference between a white female teacher and a black female teacher. See, when I was coming up, them black female teachers didn't play. Because they also had backup, like I say, with the coach, with the principal, with the janitor. Any male in our school could whoop you. But A black female teacher will handle you totally different than a white female. I'm not gonna say all white female because I remember Miss Guffey growing up. Man, it was some white teachers in our elementary and middle school and high school. Them white teachers didn't play. But the majority of the time, a white female teacher cannot handle that little boy and sometimes that little girl. Because the way that boy gonna respond back to that female, a lot of times is almost like the way he gonna respond back to his mama if the mama is weak. Now I'm saying all mamas are not weak in our race. There's some women, there's some mothers out here tear you down. Them old big mamas is gone though. Them big mamas in play. But he's gonna respond back different. But just say that coach walk in the room. A lot of times when I was growing up, those white teachers would have to go down the hall and call the male black teacher in the room. Hey, can you come in here and get such and such? He's out of control again. And they see that male teacher come, they start trying to straighten up right away. I didn't do nothing wrong. I don't want no whipping. Oh, okay. Where that ADHD at now? Man, we got whooped by the whole school, Sister Jennifer. You got it by the principal, the teacher, the coach, the cafeteria lady, the janitor whoop you with a broomstick. Then you get home, your mama whoop you, your daddy, if he around. But them days is over. You can't put your hand on these children now. Well, that don't apply in my house. That's why I'm just being real. The discipline has a lot to do with it. Look at what they say about the ADHD. Well, you know what, sister, your child is having trouble organizing and staying on task. They don't pay attention to details. They can't follow my instructions. They don't listen to my conversation. They just don't respect me. My question to you is, do you have that same problem at home as the parent with that child? Kind of remind me of the movie Drumline that Nick Cannon done. If y'all remember that movie, reading drum music. Nick Cannon was so cold with the drums that he never read the music, but he had an ear. Same way with me. He had an ear for music. And when he got to college, of course, a couple of them hated on him. But he was just that good that he could memorize the beat. You show him one time, he watch your hands. It wasn't that the fact that he was all that slow. He just didn't want to read the drum music. I knew how to read drum music and play by ear. That was my favorite instrument, the drums. But I had did more of memorizing than really reading the music. My band teacher, Mr. Wilson, would get mad at me and my brother. Same with my boy Marvell on the horn. Marvell can play the saxophone, and Mr. Wilson would get mad at us because we wasn't. How y'all know that y'all ain't reading the music? Half the time we didn't even put our music up there because we already memorized it. So when it's something that interests your child, they're gonna show you really what they're gonna show the interest in. But the teacher say he's easily distracted. I hear you. Well, what's causing that distraction? If I'm not into something, I'm just not into something. But see, like I say, I was brought up in a different generation, my brothers and sisters. Because all that talk, he just won't sit still, she won't sit down. See, I was brought up with that sit your ass down right now. Or that look. They didn't even have to say sit your ass down. That look. Okay, mama. Y'all know that look when they look at you and you start ducking down. Yeah. You know, such thing as no ADHD. Your hyperness, if you was hype, that hype level went down 20 notches because you didn't want that belt. You didn't want that switch. All they had to do was just look at you. They say you was acting bad at school. You wasn't paying attention. Let me see your homework. What's 8 times 8? 64. Well, they didn't tell me it was 64 in school. They just looked at me. See, it's all in that teaching. It's all in that discipline. Half of these kids ain't nothing wrong with them. They just need love. They need somebody to pay attention to them, listen at them, hear them out, but teach them at the same time. Understand them. And that's your job as the parent. See, now, so many people in our race, you got a chance to really, really, really teach your child. Because with this coronavirus mess going on, you've been at the house every day. Now, here's my question to you. What you been teaching? Or you just say, y'all get y'all notepads and get out of my face. You put them in the technology, or do you spend some time with them? If they did say they ADHD, have you really just set up now and just really look to see if they got this mess or not? This world system will always come out with names or something. But will you just let them just throw anything on your child and say that's what they got? This medication that they prescribe to give to them is making them crazy, y'all. When I was way in the heavy lifting weights back in the day with my boy Curtis, Big James, Freddie, Tony Stovall, we get in that room, my boy Tut, Paul Bennett, Otis Carter, Vernon, my boy V, y'all know who y'all is, V Swain, Maintain, Big Brother Cody. The testosterone that was flowing in that room. See, when I lift weights like that, I kind of calmed down a long way now. I don't do all of the heavy lifting and stuff like I used to and got older. And no, I never took steroids. Got a big problem with that stuff. Like I always tell people to do what's natural. Because them steroids will mess you up too. Look at Ronnie Coleman now. To people that, that's heavy out there. If you know who I'm talking about, Ronnie Coleman, what was he, 8-time Mr. Olympic? Look at the shape Ronnie Coleman in now. Now I'm not saying that I was there to see Ronnie and them juicing and Arnold Schwarzenegger. A lot of them, a lot of them dudes is juicing. I wasn't there, but what I'm saying is, even if he didn't juice, look at how that stuff broke him down because he was just a beast in the gym, doing too much. To him, it wasn't too much, but now that he's old and back all messed up, he's walking all limped over and slumped over. You got to ask yourself, was it worth it? But we would get in that room and lift them weights, and when I leave, I can't sit still. That adrenaline, I like to say that adrenaline, that testosterone, that feeling, that hyperness. My mom would always tell me, "Boy, sit down somewhere. You just don't never sit still." I didn't have no ADHD. That's just how boys are. So as I close, I know I went a little bit longer than expected, but you gotta be careful what you letting them inject in your children. You got to be careful what you allow them to diagnose your child with. So somebody asked me, how should a Christian view ADHD? What's your take on that? And I keep telling people, you got to understand that this world system have always been about making money. This dude told me just the other day, he was mind blown off the video I did about prison as a business because he never thought about that. He never thought about the simple fact why they got so many private penitentiaries now. When I can save on this and save on that. An empty penitentiary bed is not gonna make money. They have to put somebody in there, even if they have to lie and plant some on somebody and throw them in that cell. Them cells got to be filled up because it's a business. I'll leave y'all with that. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful, blessed day. Shalom.